So, as I was saying, that when most people are growing up as kids, we all have ambitions that we want to do in life. So, for Cretia, did it come out like that? What was your ambition when you were a little girl, and where were you?
Thank you, Robert. When I was a little girl, my ambition was to become a medical doctor, but I never got a chance to be one. I was born in Bulawayo, and I stayed in a small township called Njube. That's where I was brought up. And I went to Msitele High School, and then from there proceeded to college. But what I realized was that sometimes the things that you wish to become may never become. There is what is called destiny. God will always lead you through a pathway that is best for you, and I have no regrets whatsoever.
And what did you end up doing?
I ended up becoming a teacher, and from there I joined the NGO sector, and I retired very early in life because from a full-time job, because of the number of children that I had. I'm a mother of 5 daughters.
And as a teacher by profession, it means you are someone who is well-read. Someone wants to read here and there, looking for information, scheming and planning. Did you by any chance ever read anything about cancer?
Not at all. Not at all, Robert. I just used to hear about it, just hearing about it before I joined the NGO sector. But when I joined the NGO sector, I was working in a department where I was in the HIV prevention and water and sanitation. That's when I started to learn more about diseases. When I was a teacher, I just knew that especially when nutrition is concerned, preventive measures to prevent various diseases, what vitamins will do to your body, why you need carbohydrates and so on and so forth. Really not getting into the depth of disease.
Do you think many women or men and women are in that category, turning back the years? Do you think people are reading and getting more information about cancer?
What I've noticed from my personal experience is in most cases you really don't, most people, if they are not enlightened, they really don't research on diseases, because it's the last thing that is that can be on anyone's mind, to think, could I wake up one day with cancer, or I could contract HIV, or even to be hypertensive. You always see it as a disease that is somewhere there that will affect somebody else and not yourself. And I would want to say most people they really don't read on diseases. And sometimes what I've observed is even on television, as a family, when people watch the TV, it's very rare for you to see people watching medical programs because really human nature is such that this will never come to me. And my encouragement is that let's try to read and research on things that are happening around us.
Let's fast forward. You were diagnosed with cancer. Which type and when was that? What really happened that ended up with those results?
I was diagnosed in 2017. It was in January 2017. And the diagnosis came after I had not been feeling well for a very long time, of which I would want to encourage people good health-seeking behavior. Good health-seeking behavior is that when you are not feeling well, please do consult a doctor, go to the clinic, go to the hospital, seek medical attention so that you're helped early. I think I went on for about 3 years experiencing cancer symptoms But I didn't really think it was cancer. I just thought it was something else. In my life, I'd never suffered severe constipation, but it started to come. And suddenly, I was almost losing my sight, but I didn't know what was happening. And I would remember on a specific day, I could not even drive because suddenly I turned blind. And I was like, wow, why? What's happening? I visited an optician who said I needed glasses, but still with those glasses, I could not see properly. After the diagnosis, I would want to say, I want to thank my physician. When I described the way I was feeling, he was quick to say, I think we need further investigations. Investigations were done, and results came. 100% cancer, colon cancer. And it was stage 3, almost stage 4. So the doctor was a bit worried because of the stage. So he ordered me to go and be tested and to get what they call a colonoscopy, blood tests. Quite a number of tests were run to actually come to the conclusion that definitely it was colon cancer. And then the doctor made a treatment plan, which I had to adhere to.
When you got the results that this is cancer, what went into your mind? How did you receive such bad, I would say, such bad news?
Robert, yeah. Fortunately for me, it was bad news. But for some reasons, I was not very scared. I had met one person who was just sharing with us, and the person spoke about the fact that people die not because they are sinful or they fall sick, not because they are sinful, but because our bodies are mortal. We die. We are born, we live, we die. So for me, I was not scared at all. But I just had concerns over what was going to happen to my children, especially the 2 young ones. When children lose one of the parents, be it a father or a mother, they always have struggles in life. That was where my concern was. But if it was about death, as I walk the journey of life, I've noticed that people die. People die when the time it has come for you to die, you die. But I convicted myself that it was not yet time for me to die. I needed to live, and I was determined to live. I wanted to survive because I had so much unfinished business.
And from the doctor, who was the first person to, the second now? When you're going there, were you going with your husband, and if he was not there, who was the first person then you told that these are the results and it's confirmed I have cancer?
The first person that got to know about it is a lady called Mayowe. Mayowe is a lady that I normally pray with. We meet for prayers, and on that particular day, she's the one who was around, who could be with me, but she didn't get into the doctor with me. She just spoke to me about it. Unfortunately, she has got a medical background, and then my family got to know about it. My husband, my children, they got to know that I had cancer. But not all of them at the same time. The little ones, I never told them that I had cancer. I told the older one where my children are concerned. But of course, my husband knew that I'd been diagnosed with cancer. And the older child is the one who let the cat out of the bag. I'd convicted myself that I was not going to tell the little ones because I wanted to protect them. They were still in high school, lower high school, and they were still young. But it was not a good decision not to let them know that I was going through that kind of adversity because they were very angry with me. They asked me a question, but mommy, how do you tell somebody who is so far away and we live with you here? Because their sisters are away. So they didn't take it lightly, but eventually they accepted because we actually had to talk about it. And if you go on Second Chance Instagram page, you'll see a series of recordings that we did as I was trying to find out how they felt about the whole situation and their expectations and so on and so forth.
You know, when you are sick and to a certain extent where you are diagnosed with the subject that you are talking about, cancer, the people that you live with, the people that are close to you, sometimes when they visit you, even if you are in hospital, even if when you're at home, if you look in their eye or their face, you can read a certain expression. Munhu tiri kumuona here kekupedzisira. Munhu arwara. How was the reaction from the people, including the children, the people that were close to you? Despite that you have convicted yourself that you are going to live, you are going to, the will in you said live for your children, but the children and the people that were close to you, what was their facial expressions?
Hey, the reactions varied with different people. What I made sure was that I didn't share the information with everybody. Number one, for fear of stigmatization. Number two, to protect myself from negative energy. But my family was very worried about me.
I can imagine.
Yes, my siblings were worried, and my whole extended family was worried. But of course, there are some who would just be like, "Oh, wow, you have got cancer." That's it. They really didn't show any concern whatsoever. What I'm trying to say is people react or respond to situations in various ways. You can't really say if somebody does not respond in a way of showing compassion or concern, you quickly judge them to say they are not concerned. It's just how people take up information when it's presented to them. Some will take a week, a month to react to it, and others will just be like very compassionate, cry. Some people cried, some people gave me hope. I have a sister-in-law who actually said to me, "You are going to go through this. We are going to support you." And indeed, I was supported. Some never even asked, some never even visited, some never even called, even if they knew that I was not well. The good thing about falling sick is that you then begin to know who is who. And you have an appreciation of those people who will be there and stand by you at a time when you need support most, especially where health is concerned. But I want to reiterate the fact that I pray to God and ask God that I should not focus on negativity in terms of who is asking me, who is coming to see me, and so on and so forth. I had a helper, her name was called Winnie. In fact, she's called Winnie. Amazing. What I learned from that woman was the fact that relationship is not only blood. She was just my helper. but she walked the journey with me because she would be the one there with me, because my husband would need to go to work, my children would need to go to school, my family, my extended family, everybody's going to work. They are just going about their duties. They're just living their lives. And what I noticed is life does not stop because Keresha is fallen sick. People move on. They move on, Robert. They move on. They just get about their work and they do what they have to do. And for me, what I needed most was to keep my faith that the Lord God is with me. I often say everybody else will leave you, your children, your husband, your mother, your father, your siblings. But the Lord God is always with you. Right now as we are here, Robert, the Lord is here. Mm-hmm. He's with his people. All the people who are moving around here, the Lord is keeping each and every one of us. So for me, that was my pillar of strength. I held on to God. But I want to hasten to say, I also didn't want too much sympathy from people. Mm-hmm. No, that one I didn't want. And I had days when I would not want to see anybody. My helper would know that today, no, even if people came and rang the gate, because someone will come and start crying in your eyes, and you're like, wow,
that
I'm not dead yet. Yeah. So, yeah, that was what gave me strength, holding on to my faith, and the support that I got from my church family was amazing as well. I go to the Roman Catholic Church. I'm a member of the Roman Catholic Church. When you ask me a question, do you ever read about cancer, or you do taken time to research about that, or even when people are sick, what happens to people? Getting cancer taught me to respect and honor the men of the cloth, especially my priests. They used to pray for me. I would go to church after church service. I didn't know that what is written in the Bible, that there is there are those innermost rooms. Truly they are there, because I never experienced it.
Yeah.
And my priests would pray for me all the time, every time, maybe once or twice a week. And what really touched my heart the most about my shepherds was that when I was going to theater at one of these hospitals, by the time I was at the theater door, the priest was there.
Okay.
To give me anointing of the sick.
Wonderful.
That really touched me. From that day, I made a conviction that I'm going to serve my brothers and sisters in my best capacity, in the best way that I can do. Someone to wake up very early in the morning, or to come late in the afternoon, to just come and give you anointing of the sick and Holy Communion before you get into theater. It's amazing. When we see them move around or just walk by or saying mass in church, you really never get to think that there'll come a time one day when that priest will be very close to you.
Let's go back to the doctor's consultation room. The news has been broken. You have tested negative for cancer. Sorry, positive for cancer. What did the doctor say? From there, I can just imagine. I'm a doctor and I need to tell my patient, this is what is there. Take us through what was the environment that was in that room.
For the doctor, it was tense because I went to the doctor alone to get my results. And when I walked in, the doctor greeted me, but I could see that his face was very worried and he was concerned about me. And he was like, welcome, my Chikowe. I would like you to sit here. So he put a chair just like the way we are sitting, Robert.
Yeah.
And he was trying to sit very close to me. And he asked me a question, why I had come alone. And I said to him, I'm not alone. The Lord is there with me. God is here. It's the three of us. You, me, and God. And I was saying, oh, wow. I normally want people to bring their family members, people that are close to them, because sometimes the results will not be very good. And are you sure, Chikowe, that you're going to be okay? And I said, oh yes, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be fine. I am going to be fine. And you pulled this chair just like you've done. And he got close to me and he said to me, we seem to be faced with a big challenge. And I'm not sure whether I can tell you now. And I said, it is fine, you can. Go ahead. And he said to me, he touched my hand and he said, I'm sorry, Chikowe, to tell you that you've got cancer. You've got colon cancer, stage 4. And there was silence. And I asked him, what is the treatment plan? Fortunately, the doctor had already done his treatment plan. He had already put a list of doctors that were going to attend to me.
Okay.
And one of the doctors, he's a professor, is my uncle. So he had put him on the top of the list that he was going to do surgery. And then I said to him, I'm not sure really if he's going to agree to do that because it's a close relative.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, wow, that's better for me then. Can I call him now? And he called him and he said to me, come to my house at 5. I went to my Sekuru's house and we sat down and he said to me, he calls me Keretia, not Keretia, Keretia. Colon cancer has got a 95% survival rate. Only if you follow through your treatment.
Okay.
I'm worried though that you're at stage 3.
Stage 4.
I was at stage 3.
Okay.
Yeah, almost stage 4. And then he started to tell me about the various experiences and the surgeries, some of the things that we expect post-surgery and so on and so forth. So he was kind of my pillar of strength as well in terms of assuring me that all was going to be fine. He was due to travel to South Africa and he said, you have to go in for surgery as soon as possible. Do you want the surgery done during my absence or you want me to come back? And I said, no, I want you to be there, Sekuru. I don't know what will be happening in the theater, I'll be asleep, but I mean, the fact that you'll be back will give me comfort. And he came back and I went into theater. I was admitted on a Sunday, theater Monday, and done. And my surgeon, amazing person. He had experienced colon cancer closer to home because he had lost a loved one. But he was happy that I had come in and I had accepted that that was my condition and I needed to get surgery. So it made life easier for him. And we planned everything. It went on well. The anesthetist, the surgeon, and then my oncologist. I'll mention here by name Dr. Nomsatsikai. Very compassionate. Very compassionate. The whole team was amazing. Remember I said, Robert, it's not about blood. It's about embracing humanity and embracing someone at their weakest. When you get cancer, you will be at your weakest. People have already judged you, Robert, to say, let's just give them time,
and
soon they'll be gone.
Some would start planning a funeral.
Yes, they plan your funeral. Some are even busy trying to see what teachers or Ramasei post this. And like I said, people move on in life. When someone dies, people mourn. The good thing about God is that He gives us seasons. And for me, the cancer season was a season that I needed to embrace. It was a hard season. I had lost so many people in the family. During that period, and here I am, I've got cancer. My mother is gone. She's gone. And
How painful has been the process in terms of taking the medication soon after the surgery?
Chemotherapy is very painful. But they say not for everybody. Someone can actually go for chemotherapy, it depends that they go to work.
Okay.
But for me, it was excruciating. I'd just gone through very delicate surgery. The doctors had removed part of my colon. So I had not healed completely. Of course, post-surgery, they give you a bit of time for your body to get stronger and build your immune system a little bit to a certain level. Then they start on the chemotherapy. The chemotherapy is very painful. It was a painful experience. Every time I would go for chemotherapy, I would dread it. Because, chemotherapy, but I want to dispel the myth that chemotherapy kupiswa. Apana panotsva munhu, Robert. Mishonga, treatment intravenously and orally. It's the side effects that cause pain. My experience was that I experienced the muscle spasms. Those were very uncomfortable. My whole body would just be shaking.
Okay.
Post the regime. As soon as I finish my chemo, a few minutes after, as soon as that drip just goes off, or shows that it's finished, I would get those tremors in my muscles, and it would go on for 3 to 5 days.
Okay.
Like that. It meant I could not even leave the house. I would just be in my bedroom. And I also suffered a lot of nose bleeding. And neuropathy. Neuropathy is the worst. Where you have the nerve ends. I think the nerves just die somehow. So your sensation, the fingertips, the feet, in fact your whole body is almost like, I don't know if you have experienced where you've been burnt by steam, either from a kettle or from hot water. That's the sensation on the skin. And also you then begin to lose your pigmentation. I had a very nice chocolate-like complexion, and I had a beautiful color. The color of my skin was amazing.
One of those.
I remember one time in South Africa, I was just walking around, and somebody called me and said, "Wow, your skin is amazing, brown like chocolate." And I'm sure you are a Zimbabwean. And I said, yes, I'm a Zimbabwean. But I lost all that. I became dark, black. And then the stigma comes in when people start to stigmatize you, Robert. One relative actually said to me, ndozviko izvi vana maikudzi ingonwai mapirits man sezviri kungoita vamwe. But this person doesn't know, he hasn't asked me what my problem is.
Mapiritsi anga makunzi munumwe zvikuita vamwe ndechiya.
HIV. The person actually said muri mubhazi matokwira muri mubhazi. But I really didn't think kuti munhu uyu aiziva the impact of what they were saying. Okay. Fortunately, there was another relative who knew exactly what was happening, and the relative asked, "Have you asked her what is happening to her?" But you can't blame such a person because aninga asingazive. And then the church family, wow, that one, people would always say, "Vakakona wakagara in the Catholic Church, we give each other peace." Ukadai soro, they were black. Somebody can't. They would just run away from you.
Yeah.
But there's a sister I'm going to mention here. She's called Ethel. Ethel had colon cancer and she had gone through it. She's a survivor too. She gave me hope. We go to the same church and she said to me, she calls me Kathy. Kathy, you have to soldier on, my sister. Take your medication. Tell yourself you're alive, you're not dead yet. And I remember the day I was talking to her, she was actually, she was a director, she held a very high post. She was going to Kenya on your way to the airport, and she said, "I'm on my way to the airport right now, I'm going to Kenya. I finished my chemotherapy, but I'm still on treatment, still on medication." And for me, that gave me hope. It gave me hope. So the pain always comes and it goes, it comes and it goes. In life, what we have to understand is that there are always seasons in life. There's a season for cancer, there's a season to be sick, there's a season to be healthy. When the season to fall sick comes, Robert, I encourage people to embrace it. Either way, whether you're going to fall sick or not, the day for you to die shall come. Whether you're going to collapse and die, be in an accident and die, fall sick for a long time and die, get cancer and die in childbearing. For women, you know, even falling pregnant is high risk. Or you contract HIV and be sick for many years, the end result being death.
Sometimes when I get sick, you know, one of my problems where I end up vomiting. And when I'm going through that, the worry that I get or that I see from my kids, it's so disturbing. You know, sometimes when I even start vomiting, the little ones would even start crying. How did your children receive it? You know, how... I'm just trying to imagine the kind of stories or the things that you would discuss, and you know, as for you trying to give them hope, but the questions and the expressions that seeing their mother lying there and sick.
It was hard for the two little ones. But I made a decision that I didn't want to discuss a lot about my condition with the children. So we really never discussed about what was going on with me. But they sometimes when they would go with me for chemotherapy, and that one I needed them to see what will be happening, just for them not to get too stressed. But it affected them a lot, such that at school the performance went down. And the other one was very good at physics. And when I went for consultation, it was then after my chemotherapy. Then the teacher wanted to find out why my child's performance had gone down so much. Then when I gave her the information that I had not been well, I'd been going through chemotherapy, that really saddened her, because she said to me, if I had told her, she could have given the child more psychosocial support and emotional support. But I want to thank the school though. the hospital, the clinic matron knew that I was not well. So what would happen, especially to the younger one, every time she would get to school, if she just thinks about the fact that she was then telling me this letter, she would just think that when I get home, I might find my mother gone, she would be dead. So she would be so traumatized.
Mm-hmm.
Every morning or most of the mornings, she would just get to school and go to the sick bay and wait to be picked at 1 and go home. And what I know is they prayed a lot. During the night, they would also want to come and check how I would be doing. And for children, it's hard when a parent falls sick.
Yeah.
But with assurance and you giving them positive vibes, Kuti will be over this soon. It makes life much easier for the young ones. It makes life much easier for the young ones. It was hard for them because it's information that they also didn't want to share with too many people.
Mm-hmm.
As a result, even at school, they would not speak about it, they would not talk about it. But they said they were more comfortable to share with some of their friends because then their friends would help them to pray. Of course, a few mothers from their friends knew that I was not well. They would visit from time to time, or they would just call. Remember, when you're going through chemotherapy, the doctor will discourage visits from the public or from people. Fear of infections, because your immune system will be very, very low.
Okay.
So, yeah, I would say the children struggled, but they got psychosocial support. But what I noticed is that the caregiver, the person who is caring for the person who is sick, nobody really thinks about the caregiver. People just think everything is above board. And when I talk about the caregiver, I'm even talking about the children. As I was going through, as I was walking this journey, I observed that the caregiver was not given attention at all. Yet the caregiver just needs somebody to talk to them to say, Winnie, Nasa, how do you feel? Do you feel I can make some food and bring so that you don't cook? I actually had an experience with another friend whose husband had cancer, he had colon cancer. You know, as I was talking to her, she said there are days when you don't even want to cook because the cooking you cook for yourself, you cook, you want to eat, the person can't eat.
Yeah.
And yourself, you can't eat. And sometimes you just don't eat, you don't cook because you lose appetite or because your spouse can't eat. So it means you can't eat too. You know, with females, we are always slightly different. We have the nurturing aspect built within us. I would encourage people to also check on the caregiver. I'll tell you one day, you spoke about vomiting. One day I vomited, Robert, and Winnie cried.
Sure.
Akachema. But Mama, it was soon after my discharge from the hospital. But Mom, I'm but it was not something that I could not. She cried. She was so sad. I think for days until I actually to get readmitted. Then when I got readmitted, the doctor said he was going to keep me there until he's confident that I could go. And I realized Winnie needed help. Winnie needed help. Either to just help her with the housework, to help her with caring for me, to help her with the cooking, to help her with the laundry. Just for her to say, she just takes time to relax, at least. And also psychologically, it's quite draining for the caregiver. They need someone to talk to. Hence, I convicted myself to say, I would like to be there for other people. As I was driving, I was praying for a lady who got into theatre at 2. She was diagnosed with breast cancer, and she, as we speak right now, she's in theatre, getting a mastectomy. And when I spoke to her, she's in hospital with a colleague, and I think as they were discussing, when she told the colleague that she's got cancer, she said, wow, let me call this sister of mine so that you can have a chat with her since you're going into theatre this afternoon. And when I spoke to her, she said, wow, hauzizvo wandiitira ndakuenda kutheatre with an open heart.
Amen.
Because I just said to her, kutheatre kwauri kuenda ka, try to imagine yourself in a deep sleep. Tell yourself that I'm going to sleep, I'll be resting from 2 until whatever time. It may take 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, depending with the surgery and the complications that arise when the doctors are in surgery. Doctors, nurses, every person who offers medical help to people, never take those people for granted.
Muupenyu watinorarama kazhinji murume nemukadzi, dzimwe dzenguva murume akarwara mukadzi anomira nemurume wake, dzimwe dzenguva mukadzi akarwara vamwe vevarume vanowanikwa vachitiza musha. Your spouse, tell us about you.
Yeah, my spouse really never ran away. He would spend most of his time working for the children because the children need to go to school. And for me, response ya munhu ari a spouse to the other spouse kana achirwara varies from one person to another. Inini personally, he had medical aid which assisted kuti ndirapwe. The part that I saw kuti munhu uyu handitizi was post-surgery. Post-surgery, especially surgery yegut yemudumbu, unenge uchiburitsa mweya unonuhwa. When you breathe out bad odor. Mbobva pamubhedha anambondisiya, anambomove a bedroom. He didn't move the bedroom. He didn't say much about it. He didn't speak a lot about it. But there isn't a single day yakabuda yakabva paside pangu airara ipapo. Not that there were no challenges, but the fact that akakwanisa kuti at my weakest akakwanisa kurara paside pangu kusvika ndapora, kusvika ndasvika zvandiri nhasi. Izvozvo zvine message yazvakandipa, because mwana anotanga kusema. Imagine mukadzi anonuhwa, because ndainohwa because of the surgery. Every time ndaifema ndaizvinzwa ndega kuti ndiri kunuhwa, but he was there, and I'm grateful for that. And he supported the children. Zvese zvaida kuti vana vaite vaende kuchikoro, because I could not do it for almost a whole year. I could not do anything. You would go with the children to school, run around, go to the farm, go to work, do this, do that. Kana adzoka kumba chakandikoshera kwaiva kurara parutivi pangu, asingandisiye ndakarara ipapo achiti mai kudzi vakunuhwa manje. ndakasangana nemudzimai akatizwa nemurume aita breast cancer akaitwa mastectomy. Ndaenda kune imwe outreach, akatozochengetwa natete wake, an aunt had to move in, hanzvadzi yemurume wake. So kwandiri that support yekusabva apa parutivi apa, iyo support yanga yakandikoshera.
Panorwara munhu, you know, when you get sick, a lot of advice come from friends, from relatives, especially in terms of medication. Mukaita izvi zvinokubatsira. I just want you to tell me one strange thing, you know, not just mentioning kuti zvakauya nani. Chamakanzi maikudzi madii kumbodai so zvinenge zvinobatsira. Imi mukatotiwo ndai munhu.
Vanhu vese vanouya nezvakasiyana siyana. Chinhu chandakanyanya kuexperience ndechekuti vanhu vakanga vasingadi kuti ndiende for chemotherapy because vaiti ukanopiswa unofa. And then vanhu vaibhiliva kuti ndinogona kungonwa mishonga yedu yechivanhu ndikapora, of which handikwanisi kuzviita dispute izvozvo nokuti hapana research yakamboitwa kuti mishonga iyi haishandi kana kuti inoshanda. Of course vamwe vaiuya nenyaya dzekuti chimbofamba utanga waenda kwakati, takanzwa kuti kune muprofita kana kuti kune vanhu vanorapa zvakadai. Asi inini I was steadfast on that one, nekuva focused, and experience yangu yekunge ndakamboshanda nemuzvipatara yakandidzidzisa kuti seek medical help first without underplaying my traditional medicines. Seek medical help first. But I want to believe kuti munhu upi neupi aiuya kwandiri achindi tidai manga madai, it was from the heart because they were concerned about my welfare. I don't want to think kuti it was because they wanted me to, they meant harm on me. No.
How has this journey taken you back in terms of your professional life, in terms of your social life?
It has taken me back a lot, and I lost a lot of things. I used to run a small business, but ndakabirwa, people took advantage of my absence, and also I lost some of the connections that I had due to the fact that ndakamboenda off the radar. Because unenge uchida kutanga wapora first, I needed to recuperate. But I want to thank God, I'm here today. And I'm not looking back, I'm focusing. And restoration, we are in various ways. Now I'm doing gardening. Right now in my car, I've got cabbages that I want to go and give Vana, the St. Joseph's Boys Home here in Belvedere. I've got a small garden that I'm doing. I continue to save other people. As I was walking the journey, Ndichirwara, I was reflecting on what I could do post-recovery. And my niece called Kate, called me one day. She called from the States and she said, Buya, muri kumbofungawo here nezvekuti hatisi kuda kuramba tiri mu negative mode. Muri kumbofungawo nezvekuti here kana mapora muda kuitei. And I said, ndimbonipa time ndimbonyatsofunga. But ndandagara ndichizvifunga. Then I said to her, I think I would want to save my brothers and sisters who will be affected and afflicted by cancer, and those who are going through adversity, whatever form of adversity it is. It may be loss of a loved one, loss of a marriage, loss of finances, losing a job, or even missing an interview. You can actually be stressed. Yeah. Those are the people that I want to work with. And if the Lord grants me a second chance, that's what I'm going to do. And then she said, wow, Sakatatua Nezitambwe, the second chance. And the Lord indeed granted me a second chance. And I started an organization. I launched an organization, the second chance, in November 2019. And I had a lot of support from, I'll just mention a few people. Dr. Chikowe, my oncologist, Dr. Nyakabau, she's an oncologist. A lot of support. A sister that I worked with when I was healthy, and when I fell sick and I was diagnosed with cancer and I was in the middle of a job, they'd already paid me, but they realized that I could not continue because I was not working.
Second chance will be a discussion for another day. If God give us another second chance to talk to Michaels. There is someone right now who is watching this program who has lost hope because they were diagnosed with cancer. There is someone who is watching right now whose relative has also been diagnosed with cancer. They've lost hope. What is your message to them? The word of advice.
The word of advice to somebody who has been diagnosed with cancer is that cancer akusi kufa. Ende kufa kunouya nenzira dzakasiyana siyana. Cancer is a condition like munhu ane hypertension, munhu ane HIV, munhu ari kunzwa mudumbu, munhu ari kunzwa musoro. Asi kungoti it's chirwere chiri very complicated because chinodestroya munhu from within. Ukaona woziva kuti une cancer inenge yatopedza makore, unenge uchingofamba wakadaro. Advice yangu ndeyekuti kune vadiagnoswa necancer, follow through your treatment. Move away from negative vibes. Don't worry about people around you. Angava murume wako, kana mukadzi wako, kana mwana wako, kana baba wako, kana mai vako, kana neighbor wako, kana shamwari yako, kana ani. Worrying yandiri kutaura ndiye kuva nema expectations are out of this world. Uri kurutsa Robert. Anditika. Your wife is to start work. Arikufana kuenda kubasa. Uregerera. Probably you want to mtaurira kuti sha
Manya ubasa.
Enda kubasa, the twins need food on the table. Anditika. Watompa encouragement. Uchibuda uchienda. Doesn't necessarily mean kuti kana wakanyarira zvako Robert was concerned. Saka my advice is don't be too concerned about my responses and my reactions evanhu towards your situation. Temperament zevanhu dzakasiyana. Assimilation zevanhu of situations dzakasiyana. Concentrate on getting well. How do you concentrate on getting well? Take advice from medical personnel. Follow through your treatment. Don't try to listen to too many voices when you're sick. Because if you do that and you don't focus on what your doctor is saying, you will lose it. You will lose the battle. I want to say though, as really kuti vakafa, Robert, vakapusa, kana kuti vakakoniwa kutevedzera zvakataurwa nachiremba. Kwete. Vakafa nokuti nguva yavo yangaita sei? Yanga yakwana. Munhu wese ane nguva yake. Une nguva yekuzvarwa, yekukura, yekurwara, yekufa. Then wochizongova munhu anorangarirwa anenge akugara mundangariro dzevanhu. Kune vane cancer, zivai kuti mhuri dzenyu dzinokudai asi wese munhu anokuda to that level. Kana wadiagnoswa necancer, usanyanya kushare your situation nevanhu vanounza negative vibes. Nekuti mwana uya achida kunzwa utomanya unoti Robert zvauri kutoona maikudzi kwangosara 1 month. Vanenge varova pasi. You don't want those people to know. Kuita a brother or a sister aunoti ukataurira anogara newe pasi kana kuti anouya. I have a friend who used to come in then opinda mubedroom mangu ogara paside pemubhedha pangu onditi nhasi ndiri kuswera newe togara kana ndaneta ndomudza kuti chienda kana kuti kana ndisingadi kuonekwa akaridza intercom akangoudzwa nawini kuti nhasi mama havasi kuda vanhu aibva aenda. But she never gave up on me. Ndo vanhu vaunofanira kuconcentrate on, kwete vanokuunza negativity. Uyezve endai kuchipatara. This person I was talking about ndichishaya kuti apinda mutheatre na2 akonfesei kuti unozviziva here kuti ndakapedza nguva yakareba ndichinzi nevanhu usatomboenda pachiremba unofa kuenda ikoko. But on realizing that her situation wasn't getting better, she decided to go to the doctor. Hanzi iko zvinoda kutozvibvunza kuti ndakanga ndakanonokere. Seek medical help. Stay positive. Give yourself hope every day. Tell yourself kuti inini ndichiri mupenyu handisati ndafa. Zvinokubatsira kuti urapwe upore. Although it might be very expensive kuti munhu arapwe apore cancer, unopora kana Mwari vasati vati time yakwana. You know why ndichiti unopora, Robert? I was told kuti endai kuIndia. Chitoendai kuIndia maikudzi hamutomborarami muno. But ndakatarisa mari yaidiwa kuenda kuhospital yekuIndia, ndikarangarira vakadzoka vari mumacoffins kubva kuIndia, ndikatarisa kuti inini Mwari kana makati ndorarama ndicharapwa muno muZimbabwe. Number one, I was thinking about the fact that if I was going to go to India, taizorasikirwa nemari yakawanda. Kana ndikafa, my husband will struggle to take the kids to school. Ndatora 60,000 muguva nayo. 60,000 inopedzisa vana 2 kana 3 kuuniversity. Kwandiri, I had to leave everything in the hands of the Lord, and I wanted to make sure that even if I was going to depart, my husband would have something to take children to school, because life I made nekuti maikudzi vafa. And I made a decision to say, inini ndicharapwa muno muZimbabwe. I was just looking at other people. Ko asina anoita sei? Unongoenda local clinic wotorapwa ipapo wobva woenda pahospital vanongokunyorera uchingoendawo ikoko. But I want to thank God for provision of resources.
As we conclude Andepa diet, vanhu vane condition yakadai vanofanira kudya chikafu chakaita sei?
Diet, Robert, it is very, very important and critical. I would want to attribute most cancers to poor diets. As you can see, the statistics are escalating yearly. Makarekare kana kuti chikura, Robert, iwori mudiki tichikura vabereki vedu vanga vasingatipe chikafu sezvatinoita vana vedu. Taidya zvinhu zviri very natural, and Mwari vakangwara. Every region in the world une chikafu chinodyiwa ikoko. Ukatarisa chikafu chedu chatinodya muno muAfrica chakada kufanana from Cape to Cairo. Mwari vaitoziva ndo chinoenderana nesu nekuva black kwedu nekuva vanhu vatema kwedu ndo chikafu chinoenderana nesu. Variwo kunyika dziri mhiri vane chikafu chavo, vari kuAsiawo vane chikafu chavo. But integration, being in a global village, has made us to consume some foods that really do not go well with our DNA and with our being. What I would want to encourage people is to go back to our roots. Ngatidye chikafu chedu. Here and there wodyawo zvinhu zviri modern. Because tiri kutaura nezvecancer, it might not be very popular with the business world. But soft drinks, they will kill you. tanga waverenga bhodhoro riya uona kuti mune zvirimo. Too much of anything is not good. Ringava zai chairo kana nyama Robert, nyama inouraya. Nyama inouraya. Especially isina kutsutsa. Mauraya motocheka motodya ipapo ine ropa ine matoxins ita cancer.
Okay.
Kana uchiitwa chemotherapy, madoctors vanongokuudza kuti idyai muriwo, vegetables, diet yenyu ngainyanye to comprise of vegetables, mainly vegetable origin and fruits. Ndo zvinotibatsira. White meat, hove, huku. Asi huku kwete idzi dzekuti huku Robert tichikura kumusha wakamboona huku ichikura yodliwa ne6 weeks. 6 weeks huku yakutotengeswa. Huku iyoyo
musadarozve.
Huku iyoyo Robert unoiona se 6 weeks. Huku yakutodliwa. Takutotengesa.
Ndokuseka namoserugaya.
Kuseka namoserugaya. Saka chinhu chiri very important ndechekuti ngatidyei zvinhu zvinoenderanisa. Ndinoda kufara nekutenda vamwe vedu vari muno munyika medu. Ukapinda musupermarket iko zvino unoona mhunga, zviyo, rukweza, zumbani, zvese zvataingodya kudhara. Matizi edu emusango, miriwo yedu inonzi vana mhuri yavarudende yaikripa yaya mumiti and so on and so forth, minyemba and what have you. Let's eat those foods because those foods are nutritious, although they might not taste very appealing. Chinhu chandino discourage vanhu, sugar. Sugar unofa. Sugar unofa in whatever form. Let's avoid chikafu chakazara sugar, nyama ine mafuta akawandisa, kunyanya kudya nyama too often, asi kuconcentrate on eating food which is of plant origin.
As we talk about the journey of life and the journey that you have gone through from the day that you were diagnosed with cancer, rubatsiro wakabva from different corners. Even if kana munhu uchifamba journey kwanenge uchienda mumwe munhu anogona kukupa lift oti musandibhadhare nekuti kwamuri kuenda kure, fambai, mari iyo munozokubatsirai kumberi. Mugosvika pamwe mugoti asi marasinga mukakata nepapa rodhi yamuda kuenda nayo kai inokuendesai nekure, mukatenda neapapa munokurumidza kusvika. Vese vanhu ivava vanenge vakukubatsirai. Ugosangana nemumwe anokuti iwe rega ndikupe kapu yemvura, unwe mvura, rwendo rwako rurefu. Mahelp aya anenge akasiyana, masystem anongotuwana. But hapana pasina favor. As we conclude, I want to give you a chance to mention someone who has assisted you from day one up to today. You may have said thank you to that person. You may have done also something for that person, but you still feel that this thank you is not enough from the assistance that I got. I want you to mention that person and now even say to that person, thank you for what you have done for me. Uchida kune vamwe vanhu vanogona kumuna kunge semunhu asina kana nebasa rese. Uchida pamwe akatadzira vamwe vanhu, but rakuti that thank you uve munamato to that person.
Vanhu vacho vakawandisa Robert, asi
ndisati hapana pasina favor. Kana parufu vamwe vanodya necabbage, vamwe vanodya nenyama. Ndoti pamentionwe one person.
Ndisati ndamenshena munhu yeye. I want to mention the Lord God before I talk about that person. Dr. Nomsa Chikowe, very young. Mwari vakuitirai zvakanaka. Mwari vakuitirai zvakanaka. Pasina mari ichazouya chemotherapy yaitwa. Ndairwara usiku ndikatanga kuita nose bleeding, ndo yakanyanya kundishungurudza zvakanyanya. Dr. Chikowe vaibva vafona pachipatara chiri pedyo nesu. Ndikasvika ikoko vofonerwa vochipa advice kuvanhu vanenge vachindatenda tu, dai mavadai, dai mavadai, dai mavadai. Dr. Chikowe, I love you. My prayer for you is that God continues to grant you the desires of your heart. You are an amazing person, and I call you dynamite in a small package. Be blessed.
As we conclude, we have started an organization, and we are going to talk about in our next program. What is it called and what is it about? Just in brief, so that people look forward and wait for it.
The organization is called Second Chance. Our major thrust is to offer psychosocial support to people that have gone through adversity due to cancer and other adversities. Why am I saying other adversities? I have a sister who is in Mutare. She has got cancer. She's on chemotherapy right now. She got COVID, and her first child is 8 years old. She needs psychosocial support. She needs financial support to go through a chemotherapy. So what Second Chance desires or is doing currently, for those who have seen us on social media, there was a child that we were trying to help, but at now in Raumberi. My encouragement is parents should give their children a chance to be treated. So Second Chance is there to assist raise funds for those people that cannot fund their treatment, those people that can't find food because hakuna mari yacho. The bill itself yekuchipatara yakatokwira, the person is sick, nutrition iri kudikwa, this and that. Second Chance offers psychosocial support and other things that will be within our reach or that we can access. And we actually work with other people to make sure that we raise funds and resources to support those in need. That project was very successful. I remember there was one young man who donated groceries for that particular family. He stays in China. Akadonata mari yakawanda akaita magroceries akatengera mwana yehembe akaita sei. This is the sort of thing that we want to do. Nekuti in as far as I'm concerned, you also want to help the person to move on post-cancer. So we also have initiatives like encouraging survivors to start up projects that will give them financial sustenance.
Definitely. And more will come in the Second Chance program. Thank you very much, Kresha Maikutsi, for taking us through your journey.
Thank you, Robert, for this opportunity.